Open bodybuilding. Open bodybuilding is the division where the human body gets pushed to extremes that look like comic book characters were brought to life. Imagine walking into a gym and seeing a guy who looks like he ate 3 regular-sized bodybuilders for breakfast. That's the open class. There are no weight limits, which means athletes can just keep stacking muscle like they're playing Tetris with protein shakes. The goal? Maximum size, maximum conditioning, maximum holy shit factor. Judges look for freakish proportions, giant legs that look like tree trunks, shoulders so wide they need their own postal code, and abs that somehow exist under 6,000 calories of bulking food. It's about symmetry too. Being huge isn't enough unless it's balanced. The open division is what people usually think of when they hear Mr. Olympia, mass monsters like Ronnie Coleman or Big Ramy. Guys who don't just walk on stage, they dominate it with sheer size. It's bodybuilding turned into spectacle, a mix of art, obsession, and a touch of madness. 212. The 212 division is like the fun-sized version of open bodybuilding, except still terrifyingly jacked. It's for guys who weigh 212 pounds or less, which may sound normal until you realize these dudes pack more muscle onto 5'5" frames than most people could dream of in 2 lifetimes. The height-to-muscle ratio makes them look like action figures fresh out of the packaging, veins popping like someone drew them on with Sharpies. Unlike the open class, the 212 favors symmetry and aesthetics a little more, because you don't have to deal with 300-pound giants overshadowing everything. That's why this division often looks cleaner, more balanced physiques, tighter waists, insane conditioning. Legends like Flex Lewis dominated here by looking like walking anatomy charts with the volume cranked up. If the open is about size that makes jaws drop, the 212 is about proving you can still look like a superhero while actually being able to shop at a normal clothing store. In many ways, it's harder, less room for error, less space to hide flaws, but still every ounce of muscle counts. Classic Physique. Classic Physique is the bodybuilding category that basically said, let's bring the golden age back. Think Arnold Schwarzenegger, Frank Zane, or even Greek statues, but modernized with today's training science. It's less about who can outgrow a bus and more about creating a shape that screams timeless. These athletes are judged on flow, wide shoulders, narrow waist, sweeping quads, that classic V-taper. The weight is capped based on height, so you don't get 300-pound monsters here. You get aesthetic perfectionists who look like they were designed by Da Vinci after he hit the squat rack. The posing is different too. Vacuum stomach poses, artistic stances, dramatic lines that turn the stage into a living art gallery. This division exploded in popularity because it's what most guys dream of looking like at the gym: lean, muscular, but still human enough to fit through a door. Chris Bumstead, the current king of Classic Physique, sets the standard. His size, aesthetics, and posing have made him an icon. Men's Physique. Men's Physique is the division where board shorts rule and size takes a backseat to aesthetics. Forget about tree trunk quads, no one's even looking at legs here because they're hidden. The focus is upper body, wide shoulders, lean midsection, chest like a marble slab. It's the beach body division, the one most normal guys point to and think, yeah, I'd be happy with that. Don't be fooled though, these physiques are insanely hard to maintain. The conditioning has to be sharp enough that every ab looks like it was carved with a scalpel, but not so extreme that you look freakish. Presentation is also a huge deal. Charisma, smile, confidence. It's almost like a fitness fashion show where judges ask, who looks like the cover of a magazine? The criticism? Hardcore bodybuilders sometimes scoff at it, saying it's too modelish. You don't have to move mountains in the gym to appreciate the look, though you do need insane genetics, laser precision dieting, and dedication most people will never understand. Wheelchair Bodybuilding. Wheelchair bodybuilding is pure grit on stage. Athletes roll up and absolutely destroy the stereotype that bodybuilding is only for the fully able-bodied. These competitors build massive upper bodies, often rivaling or surpassing guys in other divisions, while battling limitations most people couldn't even imagine training through. It's not a sympathy show, it's a straight-up display of strength, symmetry, conditioning, and presence. The focus is entirely on the torso, shoulders capped like boulders, chest packed, arms so thick they look like they've been drawn by comic book artists. What sets this division apart isn't pity, it's respect. These athletes often bring an intensity that outshines everyone else on stage because their very presence is a story of overcoming obstacles. Imagine training with limited mobility, yet still sculpting yourself into a work of art. Wheelchair bodybuilding proves that strength is as much mental as it is physical. Bikini. Bikini is where glamour meets muscle, but in the most subtle way. These competitors don't walk on stage just to flex glutes or shredded abs. Instead, the judging is about balance, posture, and overall presentation. Think toned shoulders, firm glutes, slim waist, athletic but not extreme. The goal is that healthy, aesthetic look that screams confidence and stage presence. But don't underestimate the grind. These women spend endless hours dialing in nutrition, training, and posing just to look effortlessly natural. Presentation is everything. The walk, the smile, the aura. There's even sparkle, literally, because the suits, makeup, and stage glamour add to the illusion of perfection. Critics sometimes dismiss it as the easiest category, but that's laughable. Peaking for bikini is a science. Too lean and you're penalized, not lean enough and you're done. It's a razor's edge. Bikini is the division that says fitness isn't just about muscle, it's about confidence and style turned into a sport. Figure. Figure is the sharp step up from bikini, where muscle density and definition really start showing. Think broader shoulders, thicker quads, deeper cuts, still feminine, but with undeniable power. The judges want symmetry, proportion, and conditioning, but not to the freaky levels of women's bodybuilding. These athletes look like the superhero versions of bikini competitors. Leaner, harder, more muscular, and more commanding on stage. Their posing is less about sass and more about structure, hitting quarter turns that highlight balance and flow. Training for figure means living in the land of heavy weights and brutal diet phases, chasing that look where every muscle ties in seamlessly. There's also a mental battle here. Too muscular and you risk crossing into physique territory. Not muscular enough and you get buried by sharper competition. It's the category where fit becomes formidable, where the stage presence is less about smiling pretty and more about radiating undeniable authority. Wellness. Wellness is like the bodybuilding world's answer to people who never skip leg day but still want to look glamorous doing it. The criteria? Lower body dominance. Judges want to see full, round glutes, thick quads, and hamstrings that look like coiled ropes, basically, legs that could kick down castle doors. The upper body is developed too, but not as wide or muscular as figure. That creates a distinct silhouette, softer shoulders up top, massive sweep down low. It's a look that came from Brazilian bodybuilding culture, where the emphasis on curvy, powerful legs became an entire category. Training for wellness is brutal. Endless hip thrusts, squats, lunges, and enough glute-focused workouts to make the average gym-goer cry. Presentation still matters. Athletes walk with sass, energy, and confidence, but the judging is clear. If your lower body isn't dominating the stage, you're done. Women's bodybuilding. Women's bodybuilding is the hardcore division where female athletes go all in on size, conditioning, and density, just like the men's open class. These physiques are massive, with striations, vascularity, and proportions that scream power. It's not about looking soft or toned, it's about pushing female muscularity to its absolute limit. And the dedication here is savage. Years of lifting heavy, dialing in nutrition, and refusing to let stereotypes define what femininity is supposed to look like. Women's bodybuilding has had ups and downs in popularity, sometimes being pushed aside by bikini and figure, but it's resurging as fans recognize the sheer artistry of muscle at this level. Posing is dramatic and commanding, the vibe is unapologetically intense, and the physiques are unforgettable. These women don't just show up, they dominate the stage with raw presence, daring the audience to look away. If bodybuilding is about defying human limits, women's bodybuilding is the purest expression of that idea. It's not mainstream pretty, it's shock, awe, and respect carved into muscle. Women's physique. Women's physique is the bridge between figure and women's bodybuilding. It's muscular, defined, and powerful, but with a slightly more streamlined look than the open women's class. Athletes here bring broad shoulders, capped delts, ripped abs, and sweeping quads, but not the sheer mass that women's bodybuilding demands. Think of it as sculpted strength with an artistic edge. The posing is freer than figure. Athletes get to show their muscle control with routines that display both size and flow. Training is as brutal as any other category. Heavy compound lifts, precision dieting, and posing practice until every line is etched in memory. Women's physique gained popularity because it struck a balance, giving women the chance to show serious muscle without the extreme stigma the larger division often faced. On stage, these competitors are statuesque and commanding, but still fluid in movement. It's a look that makes jaws drop for being both inspiring and attainable, at least compared to the extremes. Women's physique is for athletes who want to chase maximum muscle and symmetry, all while keeping presentation as polished as possible. Fitness. Fitness is bodybuilding's hybrid category, where athletes don't just flex, they perform. Competitors need strong, aesthetic physiques, but they're also judged on a choreographed routine that mixes gymnastics, dance, and sheer showmanship. It's part muscle showcase, part Cirque du Soleil, part cardio nightmare. The physiques aren't as massive as figure or physique, but they're lean, balanced, and athletic. What really sets this apart is the performance. Flips, push-ups, strength holds, splits, you name it. Training for fitness is next level hard, because athletes have to master both bodybuilding prep and acrobatics, all while staying shredded enough to impress the judges. Imagine trying to hold a front split after 2 months of zero carbs. That's the reality. This division doesn't always get the spotlight, but it's one of the most entertaining to watch because it's dynamic. The stage turns into a performance arena, and the athlete isn't just posing, they're proving they can control every ounce of their body under insane conditions. Fitness is where artistry and athleticism collide, creating a category that feels alive, unpredictable, and unforgettable.